Okay, hello. Just give me 1 second to sort my screen out. Right, there we go. So we should be good. We should be live. Hello and welcome, or welcome back if you've joined us before. Very nice to see you again. As you know, what we do at the BBA is we like to give as much information and knowledge on various subjects as we possibly can. Delighted this week to talk about the benefits of lean methodology, particularly for product certification and testing. Happy to be joined by Dennis Chaco, who is a sales manager at the BBA. And there he is. Hiya, Dennis, you okay?
Thank you.
All good. Right, so let me do my intro and then we can get on to the good stuff. Bit about the BBA. So as we all know, the BBA have been around for over 40 years, and the main premise is to build confidence throughout the entire supply chain of the construction industry. And we look to develop long-term partnerships with and enable continued growth in both the UK and global marketplaces. But it's important to remember we always remain reassuringly impartial. Final point on that is that the BBA are a for-profit organisation limited by guarantee, which means we look to reinvest in the industry as a whole for the benefit of everybody on this call as well as the wider stakeholders. So what do the BBA actually do? If you haven't been on one of these webinars before, if you have, apologies, you'll have seen this before, but if you haven't, what do we do? Well, one of the main things we do is product approval certification. So that's the things like the BBA agreement certification, reproduction of that certificate, and the likes of HAPAS. But we also provide other services such as testing of products, audit, excuse me, audit and inspection, management services, and also more bespoke services like UKCA marking and the conformity towards that. Our background, as you can see on the screen, there's a lot of numbers there, but let's focus on the two big ones as you would. We've issued more than 6,000 certificates in the past 50 years and done over 1,000 annual inspections, which is pretty cool to note. We've got over 400 testing methodologies as well. Those numbers will be on every single webinar that we do. I'll try and update them as much as I can, but at the moment, those are the figures that we've got. Okay, on to today. What we're going to cover. On today's webinar, we're going to cover what is lean methodology. I think we can all learn from this and become better utilizing this methodology. We'll cover the uses within construction, but then we'll go into a bit of a case study in terms of how the BBA is using lean methodology. Then we'll go even deeper to the benefits of product certification and the wider construction industry, and hopefully we'll all learn how to implement this for our own organizations. What we'll also do is at the end, we'll have a final Q&A. And what we'll do for that is that if you'll notice, there is a questions part and a messenger part in this GoToWebinar. So if you want to use that at any time during this webinar, please feel free to do so. We'll collate those questions, we'll answer any at the end if we get time. And what we'll also do is if we don't answer them or we run out of time, we will get back to you with an answer to those questions. So don't feel like you've missed out. We will get back to you. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Dennis to start this main part of our webinar, BBA and the lean methodology. So I'm just going to give control and change presenter to Dennis. Again, welcome, Dennis. Great to have you on here, and you should be able to control the screen.
Yeah, let me see that. Is anything coming up?
We can see deleted files at the moment that you removed. Now we can see your desktop. We just
Okay.
just need the presentation on there when you're ready.
1 second. Yeah. Are you
That's the
able to?
one. Perfect.
Brilliant. Thank you, Peter, for that wonderful introduction. Good morning to all. I'm delighted to be with you this morning, and thank you for taking time out to listen to about the benefits of lean methodology in the construction industry, as well as the product certification and testing. Now, as we have seen, this was covered by Peter about our certification. I would like to cover what the BBA and the lean methodology for TEC is. So what's the benefit of the lean methodology going lean? And what I'm going to cover is what lean methodology is and how is it widely used in the manufacturing and construction industry, how the BBA follows the lean methodology through product certification and testing to reduce waste, eliminate risk, and reduce time, and why adopting lean in product certification and testing to reduce waste or when it benefits the wider industry, and the benefits to the end user to have the product certification as a wider construction industry. I would start with some of the lean quotes, what it says. The world we have created is a product of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Next one, watch the little things. A small leak will sink a great ship. I would like you to ponder on those quotes. Willful waste brings woeful want. Improvement usually means doing something that we have never done before. An environment where people have to think brings with it wisdom, and this wisdom brings with it kaizen, which is a Japanese word for continuous improvement. If you don't have time to do it right, you must have time to do it over. What it means is if you don't get it right, you are going to spend more time in getting it right. So after seeing that wording, let's go into the lean methodology itself. So what exactly is the lean methodology? If I look into it, lean was first developed into in Toyota as a part of the Toyota production. But the lean itself is a set of tools that assist in steady elimination of the waste. If you can see in my screen there, yes, a set of tools that assist in identification and steady elimination of waste. Now, lean was developed in Toyota as part of the Toyota production system. This was aimed to reduce the processes that don't bring value to the end product. Now, by doing so, they succeeded in achieving significant improvements in productivity, in efficiency, in cycle time, and in cost efficiency. Now, if a company of such a large scale is doing a high quality production like Toyota, then a process with waste in it means that a company is creating a large scale, high quantity waste. And no company wants to do this. So the lean approach uses the tools to analyze the business process. So instead of holding total control of work process and keeping the spotlight, the lean management encourages shared responsibility and shared leadership. And this is why the two main pillars of the lean methodology, as you see in the picture, are the respect for people and the continuous improvement. Basically, the lean methodology relies on three simple ideas: deliver value from customers' perspective, eliminate waste, that is the things that don't bring value to the end product, and the third is continuously improving work processes, purposes, and people. That's simple 3 P's over there. So let's dig a little more deep dive into the lean manufacturing in construction. And as I said, the main focus for the lean concept should be the customer needs. So putting the customer needs in the center, I will try to bring in the 6 principles of the lean construction management. First is the identifying the value. So value is determined by by what the customer considers to be the important within a product or service, rather than what the individuals developing or service, rather than what the individual developing and delivering the product or service which is considered as important. So the overall traditional approach to construction focuses on what the customer is seeking for you to build. Obviously, this will include the plans and specifications of the project. Now, lean construction pertains to what the customer actually values, and not what only what to build, but the reasons behind wanting to build it. So I got you get the point behind that. So identifying value is a key component within construction management and understanding the customer's point of view. The lean construction also brings together all factors and aspects of the operation, such as the architect, the engineer, the general contractor, suppliers, and many more. So all that comes under identifying the value. So once you identify the value, the next step is to define the value stream. Defining the value stream is one of the most important steps within the lean methodology. Once you have a clear understanding of the value from the customer's point of view, you are easily able to lay out all of the processes necessary added to deliver that value. This is called the value stream. For each activity, the necessary labor, the necessary information, the necessary equipment, and the necessary materials are defined. Any steps or resources that are not considered to add value are then removed. So the set of business activities and steps involved in creating and delivering the products and services to the customer, it is the connection of the steps together rather than considering each step in isolation, right? So that's what defines the value stream. Now, if I move forward, the next one within the customer needs and the lean principle is what we call as the important aspect of the elimination of waste. The main goal of lean manufacturing is to eliminate or minimize the amount of waste within an operation. So lean construction targets each major types of waste, which includes the defects, the overproduction, the waiting time, the underutilization of talent with the people, the transportation, inventory, motion, and overprocessing. All those can contribute to wastage of the material. And within those three, within the elimination waste, there are three other types as well, which will come in a minute, which is called as the MUDA, MURA, and MURI. And this was the terms of Toyota production system. And the lean methodology identifies and strives to eliminate these three types of waste. So what does MUDA mean? It is a non-value added work. It's a pure waste, basically. The MURA means unevenness in flow. Unpredictable variation requires compensation elsewhere in the system. So we need to avoid that as soon as possible. MURI is overburdening the resources beyond their normal rated capability. It stresses and damages the resources so that they are unable to do their normal workload. So as you can probably tell from both of these apply to any business, process, or operation, not just the manufacturing, it is now used literally at all functions and all industries where we can eliminate the waste. The next part is the work process flow. So the ideal state of lean construction management is continuous workflow that is considered reliable and predictable. This sequence is key in construction, and you can't start building the frame until the footings are set. The degree to which there is a smooth, uninterrupted flow of activities that add value to the customer rather than waste and inefficiency that impedes the flow through the value stream. The next customer needs focuses on the full planning and scheduling. So creating a reliable workflows depends on work being released based on downstream demand. So lean construction recognizes that this is best conducted through those that are performing the work, which are often subcontractors, or in our case, we say it is the project managers. So participants communicate and collaborate close with each other to determine the schedule of tasks. So degree which the value stream is only processing products and services for which there is a customer demand rather than creating something and hoping someone wants it, right? The next one after full planning and scheduling, which is the last one, I put it as a continuous improvement. So believe that it is possible to continuously improve processes and eliminate waste is the overall goal of lean philosophy. Opportunities for improvement are then identified and acted upon during the project and applied to the future projects. The construction industry is not exempt from the tendency to stick to old ways and resist change, but the many benefits of the lean approach are compelling more and more firms to take on the challenge. The continuous assessment of value stream performance to identify and improve the value created and delivered to the customer, rather than resisting changes that improve the process of creating and delivering customer value. So in a nutshell, all of these 6 points will focus and help us on the lean manufacturing, the construction, and that is what we adopted in the service industry as well. And as I mentioned with the Muda, Mura, and Muri, that become part of the elimination of the waste. So how the BBA does it, how the lean can be applicable on the BBA services. Basically, British Board of Agreement has, in broadness, 3 main categories of works that we do, that everybody is aware of: the accreditation, which is the BBA certificate. The next is the testing. So we have in-house testing within BBA itself, and also the inspection, which is management information system. So the lean construction is a method of production aimed at, as I said, the reducing cost, reducing the materials, reducing the time, and reducing the effort. So essentially, the methodology is to minimize the bad and maximize the good. So using the principles of the lean construction, the desired outcome would be to maximize the value and output of a project while minimizing wasteful aspects and time delay. So having these 3 services together in one organization or under one umbrella itself is a lean process. I mean, if you go to some other certification company, they might have to get the testing done somewhere else, or they might have to get the inspection body to be somebody else. But within BBA, having that control of testing, having that control of inspection, that itself reduces quite a lot of our efforts, and efficiency is increased by that. We can take the complete control of that. That itself become the part of the lean processes. This helped us to follow the UCAS guidance completely and inspect it very closely. The product become fit and adequate in our process, and when the UCAS audit takes place within our organization, we are also proven to be the best one in terms of the certification. So let me move on further, that the BBA services and the lean methodology, what we are adopting and how we are focusing on the lean methodology. So as I previously mentioned, there are 2 aspects within the lean methodology. One is identify the value and the value stream. So within identifying the value and the value stream, and as I mentioned, the main focus for us is the customer focus. Now, when we identify that value stream and the value that we have to focus on, then we can bring what risk needs to be eliminated, how we can reduce the waste, how we can reduce the time, which will overall increase the efficiency or improve the process. So I put out 6 points where we identified where we can put in value and how those values can be used as in a lean process. So the first process is the BBA process itself. So many a times, customer used to come and say, your process is very long process, or it is very it's very time consuming process. So we try to identify why this process. There are some processes which we cannot avoid. There are some processes which is levied to us through an external body. There are some processes which we cannot avoid because of the UCAS way that we have to work, or the standards that we have to follow. But to identify that, we in our organization created what we call as the Project Alpha. What it does is it helps us to break down the work-based structure. It helps us to revise our costing sheet. It looks at into our time sheets for the project manager. It becomes like a voice of customer for us, the Project Alpha, so that internally how we can improve, how we can make it good. At the same time, we also introduced the CRM, which is called the client relation management software, so that from the output side of it, from the sales perspective, we can monitor all the inquiries that is coming. We can put it in the right place, what stages it is in, and how we can respond to the customer as quickly as possible. The next one is the people themselves, right? So we identify we need more people to look into the project aspect. So what we did, we put additional resources to it. We have got a Liverpool office now. We got 12 new project managers from various industry, and they can look into various aspects of the projects as well. So that helped us to cope up with quite a lot of burden that was coming onto the people. Same way, the pricing, we made the pricing a streamlined pricing and harmonized pricing. So if a customer who has got 1 certificate and the customer who has got 100 certificate, the pricing will not be different for one customer with 1 certificate or a customer with has got the 100 certificate, because we got a streamlined pricing and we have to follow some guidance to apply those pricing under the UCAS, and we follow that method. So the pricing is streamlined among all the certificates. Time scale was very, very important, because that was what the customer mostly asked us. What is the time scale? How we can know what stage of a project is, where we have to do, what we have to do. And looking into that, we are very soon going to introduce what we call as the client portal. What this client portal will allow clients is to get themselves logged into the system, and they will be able to see where their stage is in terms of certification. If they need a nat chat, for example, they will be able to see where the project timeline. They can get a quotes online itself. They can get the status of the job. They will see if they are supposed to submit some document, or it is from us that we are to do something on their technical data. So the time scales, which is very important, will be made possible very soon with the clients as well. Next one, the relevance. How much relevant the certificate is for the client. So we got association with various bodies. I mean, like Westminster's housing body, where we are one of the body, MHL, CLGS. We are one of the bodies who can give you the UKCA or UKTA. We closely work with the CPR. We got associations with IMF. We have supply chain partnership with local authorities, with warranty providers. If you could name some of them, like Arbor, NBS, Highways, all of those big organizations, we are in partnership with them, which allow the customer also to get a wider orientation. The next one is the modern method. So everything is now becoming digitalized. So it has become more modern, and we want again to introduce those modern methods of digitalization within our certificate. And you will see it in the coming year. We already introduced something like QR code to quickly scan and get the certificate details. In the coming years also, you will see much more improved versions of those certificates, easy access to the technical data, and easy interpretation of the certificate itself. So all those will come as we had identified what are the values that will bring to the customer and how they can take advantage of that. Moving on, benefits of having a product certification itself. It is fit for purpose. So we do all the works ourselves. So we eliminate the risk as much as possible. It is a reliable process. We do not do a trial and error method, but when the product is certified, we say that it is fit for purpose. At the same time, we try to make sure that the risk is eliminated completely, because we do the extensive rigorous assessment of the certificate or the product. We do the test that is carried out on various aspects and standards, so that we can give a durability of the product, and it's a reassurance, again, no trial or error method. And when you get a BBA certificate, you become a preferred supplier. You get advantage over those which does not have a BBA certificate, and your reach becomes much wider through the partnership channels that BBA had, and also various association that respects the BBA certificate and wants approval of the BBA certificate. Right. Finally, I will give you some more quotes. to think over, which is invest a few moments in thinking and it will pay a good interest. Don't water your weeds. What is the waste we need to get rid of it? You must have long-range goals to keep you from being frustrated by short-range failures. The impossible is often untried. Your lean process should be a lean process. So the testing, inspection, and certification companies cater to a diverse range of industry sectors and variety of standards and legislation. Thus, the independent TIC companies play a critical role in giving you a specific certificate or a specific value to your product. Some of the key testing and certification services include the quality and safety controls through conformity assessments. So these include the supply chain certification, the industrial sites inspections, the product testing, management system auditing, certification of periodic inspections, pre-shipment inspection, consignment-based conformity assessment, and there could be many more. So the third-party TIC or testing inspection certification is a cost-effective conformity assessment method that drives higher levels of compliance. And it ensures the greater consumer protection with safer products. It helps the government agencies to improve the efficiencies and leverage scarce market surveillance resources. It also helps manufacturers to reduce in-house compliance costs and navigate the global market requirements more easily. I hope you enjoy the presentation, and if there are any more questions and answers, you can put it in the chat or ask, and I will pass it back to Peter.
Dennis, thank you so much for that. Really interesting. And I think one question that I would like to be answered is that what's the main difficulty of implementing this methodology?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Peter. If we are able to identify the value where we can bring that difference, right? To identification itself is the biggest challenge to implement. So once you identify that, then it becomes much easier, because then you have a brainstorming session, you can see the options that you can do, right? And you have various ways to tackle those that identification. And once you get those identify the value stream, then you can put things in place that will eliminate the risk, that will eliminate the cost and reduce the time and money, which will increase the improvement. So this efficiency improvement in any process is very important, and for that, I think the very first process, which is the process and the identification, is very important.
Okay, excellent. And final question, because I know we're running slightly short on time, would be to start this lean methodology. Is there a time scale to get it implemented? Because obviously it's an ongoing thing, but just to get it started, is there a time scale?
Yeah, that's also a very good question. So a time scale completely depends on how much focus you want on that the things to get improved, right? If it is something you want to digitalize and makes it more customer oriented, and it takes a period of 3 years or 2 years, because you need to look into what are the sources available to do so, so that takes certain amount of time. At the same time, if there is something which you always see the same repetitive errors happening, that can be fixed very quickly, right? So again, once you identify where the mistake is and what needs to be put in place, it depends on the gravity of the situation to put the time scale.
Excellent. And I suppose that's the key to the whole thing. It's not looking at just these big improvements, but on the same respect, it's not looking at small incremental changes. It's looking at the whole thing and saying, okay, where's the wastage? Let's move this and focus and build on that.
That's correct, absolutely.
Great stuff. Okay, I think we'll finish there. Almost bang on time, just a minute over. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you so much. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, and we're talking about timber within construction, which will be really interesting. Finally, from myself, I'd just like to thank Dennis for joining us today and imparting all his knowledge on lean methodology. Dennis, thank you so much.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you all.
And until until next time, we'll say goodbye and see you later.
Bye. See ya. Bye. Bye.